How did you discover solar energy at all, and then solar cooking specifically, of course, for your cooker? And then what are you doing with it now, if anything? That's fine. And how do you see the future of solar cooking? I've been pretty deep into collecting, getting involved with promoting it, posting my YouTube channel, trying to get people to understand there's nothing scary about it. Everyone should be doing it if you got sun. I mean, we're trying to allow free energy, etc. So. That's what I'll do. I'll just get this thing going. My usual, I always try to have at least 3 cameras going, so I don't have any. Because if one of them goes kapooey, I at least have 2 of them. It's going. Okay. Yeah.
I've got here's a picture of that's our biggest reflectors. That's a 20 feet across, 23 feet tall.
No, this is the 20 feet, or is this the 20 feet?
This back one.
The back one, okay.
And the front one is an 8-foot ellipse. So they're an elliptical offset. Do you know what that means?
Vaguely. I slept through science class, so.
So if you take a round parabolic dish that's looking up into space, and it's got maybe 3 rods that go out to hold the feed horn out in front of it.
Sure.
They create a shadow. Those rods and the feed horn create a shadow.
Right.
Okay. So consider this round circle, and it's right in the center of it, but it's out here. Excuse me, however many feet.
Sure.
Okay. So now let's just say that we cut this half section out of it. So now the feed is at the, if you just made this big thing and then you literally cut that out of it.
Sure.
So it's looking up into outer space, but the feed is out here now. There's no
Okay,
shadow.
so it's, that's the offset, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just,
Sure.
it's just a perfect reflector that has no shadow based on what you're looking at. So everything that hits that parabolic reflector is reflected off of it perpendicularly. And so it will go right to a certain location.
Right.
So, are you filming or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it'll go to that location, and then it goes through the feed and goes from there. So that's microwave antenna. It's for a lot of things for communications.
Sure.
We've got some pictures here. This one is it's a project that we did in California, and it's called the Allen Telescope Array, and it's named after Paul Allen, who was Bill Gates' partner with Microsoft. Okay. So I've been involved with quite a few things. In fact, earlier this year, I was asked to come to Caltech and JPL and talk with them about a project they're working on. It's going to be 2,000 reflectors, and they didn't want to play the game that I did, so I kind of parted with them. And maybe we'll get back together, but just kind of depends. I don't know. You know.
Sure.
But it's a big system. That'll be the biggest telescope array to research deep space on the planet.
Wow.
This was a pretty big one here, and it was going to be initially it was going to be a very large array, but it ended up being 45 of those instead.
Sure.
About I think it was maybe 300 of them.
Sure. Well, that's huge, because you got to have them like 30, 40 yards apart, right? I mean, they can't be.
Yeah, and this one that's 2,000 that I'm just talking about, they're going to be in an area that's kind of an ellipse. It's about 10 miles wide and 12 miles long.
Oh man.
So they'll put 2,000 in that area.
Yeah.
So that's what they're working towards. So my father developed an ability, technology, if you will, to create hydroformed reflectors. Very precision. Okay. So we would take a blank, cut it out, put it in a press, and then we would come down with a mold that was to the shape of the finished product, but it had to be figured for spring back. So like if you bend a wire, it's going to spring back a little bit. If you stretch something, it's going to spring back a little bit. Okay. Same thing when you stretch a piece of aluminum, say.
Sure.
It's going to come stretch back, or it's going to spring back
So
a
you
little
like
bit.
press it a little bit more,
So,
or so.
so we had to, yes, we had to make it deeper, but we figured out how to make it deeper and get a very accurate RMS, which root mean squared. It's the actual, how do I put it, measurement of a reflector. So like if the RMS was 0, it would be perfect, okay? So we'll take, like these dishes right here, we'll take those and we'll put 350 marks all over it. And then we shoot that with a special camera in 3 different locations, one way up high and one over here and one over here. And then you can dump that information into a computer and it can measure the surface accuracy of that entire reflector. Well, if you take root mean squared, you do the math on it, we were holding about 7/1000ths of an inch of absolute 0. So that's what these are. There's 45 of them. So in doing that, we built probably close to 750,000 reflectors that are in use all over the world. They're on military bases, hotels, courthouses, a lot of government establishments, people's homes.
Sure, sure.
So they're all over the place.
Are they like the sports bars? I see these massive ones, but they seem to be like a mesh.
Yeah, well, ours aren't mesh, but they were like this. They're all solid aluminum, very high, a high caliber product. And the brand name was True Focus.
Okay.
So that, we were gaining with a 6 or an 8 foot reflector, what a lot of those mesh ones had to go to about a 12 foot reflector to get the same gain, because they're just so much waste, because ours is so much more accurate.
Yeah.
So we took some of these reflectors as large as a 14-foot diameter, okay, and put a mirror finish on it, kind of like what you have.
Sure.
And very powerful.
Oh man, yeah.
And I was looking at the time when we were getting involved in this big 20 by 23 foot elliptical reflector to do the same thing. Very expensive. Even, we were using, here we are in 3M's backyard, but I flew here, met with them, we tried a lot of different things, and they had a pretty darn good Mylar tape, if you will.
Yeah, I've seen it.
So we would cut that into maybe pie sections, and we would laminate that to it. That reflective material was in the upper 95 plus reflectivity. Your bathroom mirror is about 80.
Right.
So big difference if you really think about
And
it.
that's an aluminized Mylar?
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. So that's how we kind of got into that. So I made a 14-foot one, and I've got some pictures I could send you sometime. But on several occasions, I'd have it focused at the sun. I'd take a 10-foot long 2x4, and if the focal point was right here, I could run it past it at that speed, and it would go woof, and a flame would come off of it that high. It would go just woof. It was incredible, and the woof was the power of that sun energy hitting that 2x4, and the moisture that was in it was exploding.
Right.
Okay, and that's basically what we had going on. So we went from a 14-footer, and I did a lot of 92-inch aperture reflectors, and a lot down in your realm, 6 foot, and then we jumped down into the ability to cook food and to do it basically as fast as you can do it in your oven in your kitchen.
Yeah.
Okay, so the capacity was tremendous. You got to move it about every 3 or 4 minutes to keep it keep the spot where you want it to be. But the unit you bought, that's an offset style. So the unit, if you're holding a pot or whatever aperture you have out at the focal point, you're cooking something with it, okay? And it's the accuracy and everything, the BTUs of power that you're putting into that is so amazing, but you gotta consider maybe rotating it. So we developed. Did you get a unit with a motor?
Yes, the 3 D cells, 2 or 3 D cells, or 4 maybe even.
I think it's 2.
Yeah.
Two
Okay,
D-sized batteries.
Yeah.
And you flip a switch and it's rotating.
Yep.
Did you get a pot with it too?
Yes, I got the whole thing. I got the rotisserie prongs, the whole.
Okay,
yeah, I
okay.
got the whole kit and caboodle.
So, did you get a 5-inch diameter tube, about 10 inches long, you can make bread in?
Yes. In fact, I got 2. There was a smaller one. I think there were 2 sizes.
There's a 5 and maybe an 8-inch.
That was it. Yeah, I got the both.
So the 8-inch, you could throw a pretty good sized chicken inside there with a bunch of vegetables and let that go for about 3 hours, and I'll tell you what, it'll come out amazing.
Yeah.
And then the bread unit, it would be a 5-inch diameter, 10 inches long. You put about a pound and maybe a pound and a half of bread dough in there, and you put the ends on it. And as soon as it starts to ooze out a little bit because it's raising, it will. That's a time for you to put it in front of the sun, and it takes about an hour, and it's rotating, so you have a really nice crust on the whole thing, and it is a tremendous piece, loaf of bread.
Oh yeah.
So that's some of it. We made cakes with them. Did you get a cross that was in the pot?
Mm-hmm.
So that cross helps generate heat into the center of the cake mix.
Sure.
So it'll bake it faster. So you could do a pretty big, tall, maybe a 6-inch thick cake if you wanted to, and do it as it's rotating this way on the turntable. You're going to get a cake in maybe an hour to an hour and 20 minutes, somewhere in there. Depends on what all you put into it and so forth. If you didn't have that cross in there, then you would be missing a lot of BTUs going into the center. Yeah. I got involved in the cross idea with a gentleman that had a pretty nice restaurant in Idaho Falls, Idaho. That's where I grew up, and it was called Cedric's. And the owner of Cedric's called me one time, and he wanted me to help him figure out a way to make some kind of an aluminum cross like that for his cobblers that he would make, like peach cobbler and blackberry and cherry and so forth. So we developed this unit, and they were just literally sheet metal, aluminum, with a notch in the middle, and you just put 2 of them together like so, and it just did a phenomenal job. I mean, he was cooking cobblers in about 25 to 30% faster time. And he had more crust around the edges, and that's what most people want, is the crust more than the center,
Yeah.
Unless you're a child or something, and then
That's
so that's kind of where the dynamics of everything kind of come into it. A few years before the model that you had, we had a different model, and it was about a 4-foot offset reflector. And it gimbaled around a ball that was about 5 inches in diameter, and it was a fun little product too, but we made it better with what yours is, and yours knocks down into a smaller setup and so forth, and it made it easier to ship and things like that. So that's kind of in a nutshell, who we are, what we were doing. So as far as making them now, I sold out to my brother 13 years ago, and he bought the entire company, and he went a different direction, and he manufactures Andersen hitches.
Yeah. I noticed that because I remember looking back and saying, well, I got to get a hold of Mike.
Yeah.
And I saw, wait, where'd the cooker go?
Yeah. So, we sold everything we ever made. I have 2 of them. Mm-hmm. My father's got one. My brother's got one. And then other than that,
how many total do you think you actually
Hundreds.
sold? Hundreds of the cooker?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So they're all over.
Sure.
I haven't even taken mine out for years, but it's fun to take out and do something with it, It's just a matter of You know, do you need it? Do you want it? Is it for a party? Is it what's your plans? We're going into some different political and so forth transitions, and it kind of makes you wonder what's going on, you know. And it seems like solar, you know, there's a lot of opportunity with solar.
PV is kind of overtaking solar thermal.
Yeah. You know, I really retired and got out of it, and so I haven't much. There's another utensil, if you will, that I ought to tell you about. I don't know if you've seen anything along this line, but a gentleman by the name of Ross Quist, he's from Kaysville, Utah, and he came up with a hot water deal. Okay, and what it is you got a pot with a lid, and it works on the same principle as a hot water heater. You run cold water in through the top, it goes to the bottom.
Sure.
And then it comes out the top.
Right.
Okay. So what he did was you got the pot, and up at the top of the pot, if you consider this was the pot, I don't have a pen on me, but you would have a horizontal tube coming out of it, and in the lid you got a tube that goes clear to the bottom.
Right.
So you can fill that up with hot water or with cold water, put it on your heat source, and get it hot, and keep it on that heat source. And now you can pour. You've got a funnel that's going right to that tube, so it's going down. You can just pour a cup of water in there and catch a cup of water. So it raises up, comes out, and it just keeps it hot. And you will not run out of hot water.
No, you sold that with the cooker, because I have that.
So you have one?
Yeah, I have one.
Okay.
With the little gasket, the tube goes down. And
I'm glad you got the whole kit.
I spared no. I realized I was a maniacal collector back then. And I said, I'm going to get the whole thing, because who knows where this is going to go. And there are two things about it right now. Just an update is the bar that you use to adjust the reflector. You know, the little clamp that kind of slides up and down the bar that's vertical in the back.
Okay.
It had an open end at the top, and one winter I just left it out because I'm going, well, this weather is no problem, but enough snow went in it, snow melted, then froze and thawed, and it buckled right around the middle. So I got to figure out a way to change the arrangement so I can. It's wonderful, and it's like I'm thinking, okay, if I would have realized, I'm going to get rain in there, and then it's going to freeze, and of course, expansion contraction. What was the other item?
Water expands 9% when it freezes.
Yeah, and you can see the bulge where it is. It's like, okay, that's where the water ended up.
That's too bad.
But the other thing is I tried to use rechargeable batteries, which just don't have the oomph of the regular, the non-rechargeable. And about 2-3 years ago, there was an outfit called RotoQ, which is just a mechanical spring motor that goes nice and slow. It's meant to hook onto a barbecue thing over your charcoal barbecue.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much probably almost the same RPM. And so I'm thinking, well, I learned welding last fall because I retired from my day job in May, and I want to be able to make some things like that, like solar cookers. And I want to set that up so it fits your cooker. So I just slide it in there. Yeah. And it's almost the exact same size as the D-cell battery.
Send me the information on that motor. I'd like to see that, and maybe it might be something I can work on a prototype or something.
Very straightforward. It's just the spring.
Maybe I can help you with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they had a Kickstarter thing, so I got 2 of them.
Okay.
So I already have the 2, and I just got to crank up my hobbyist welder to make it work. And that, I don't know, that might, not that it's the future, I don't know if, you said your brother bought the whole slew, and so...
Yeah, but he completely got rid of everything.
Oh, so he isn't even doing the cooker at all, not even thinking about it?
No.
Okay.
No, the tooling, everything is gone.
Yeah.
But I know how to build tooling, and I know how to build it inexpensively too, but it just kind of depends on if there's enough demand for it.
Yeah.
I do marketing on some other products for some other family businesses that I'm involved in.
Sure.
And that's where my passion is. But to get involved in solar and to get if someone wanted to really kick something in gear in the United States, I could help them do it.
Sure.
But I'm not going to go out and try and build it all up, including all the marketing and everything. It's just, I'm not interested in, I'm too old for that now.
Well, and I call it a niche of a niche of a niche. I
Yeah.
mean, it's like I talk to permaculture people and go, oh yeah, that's so cool. And it's like, well, they look at their worldview and it's like, well, this is the thing that hour or two a day I'm going to use it, you know, and or if you're like in Minnesota, I call it the variety weather belt.
Yeah.
We might have a month of clouds or a month of sun. We might have sun, clouds, sun, clouds. We had November a couple years ago. It was the cloudiest month on record in Minnesota. There was 2 hours of sunlight the entire month.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, now I've cooked in 20 below with this simplicity,
Yeah.
and I know I could with yours.
Yep.
Within a snowbank, you know, in February. So it's,
Yep.
that's not the issue. But
If you watch our video, I think you see
yeah,
that we're cooking
yeah, you
in
get
snow.
sun. Yeah.
Yeah, we had
Snow,
a lot of
yeah.
snow around it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you're packing up in the kind of in the mountains.
We're in
foothills, or-
Utah.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, in the mountains of Utah.
Yeah.
So you asked me about the other deal. We called it the Flame Chef. There's 2 videos. Here's one that's 7 minutes and 36 seconds. Let me show you the minute and 20-second one.
Our new approach to outdoor cooking. We are pleased to unveil the Flame Chef. Named it Flame Chef because you can confidently
So this has the same
make
motor.
even boil
Oh, sure.
meals and treats with this unit. There are quality accessories which make this cooking system both dependable
Oh, yeah.
So there's no
and
bottom to it.
standalone.
Yeah.
It's for leisure time and emergencies. The Flame Chef is compact in size, offers a multitude of functions, which common fire pits lack. It's designed to be flexible for leisure and emergency, so it can be either a permanent or a mobile cooking feature based upon your needs. Scouts, families, outfitters, and preppers, there is so much capacity with the ever-growing company.
All right.
So the other one's 7.5 minutes long. If you just type in Flame Chef, you'll
Sure.
find it.
Sure.
Um,
I did want to ask too about the gravestone working to be able to. How did that come about? What?
Well, after my brother bought me out and I semi-retired, my mother wanted to have her grandparents' monument leveled because it was leaning and looked terrible. My father kind of started toying with it and he came up with the concept of using some jacks. They're kind of like you'd have on the tongue end of a trailer.
Sure.
And he developed a clamp that you could literally clamp the monument, and it's a pretty good sized screw. So currently, I took that model and made it better, and we started manufacturing it. We have customers all over North America and in Europe. And we're really in the growth spurt now. The screw clamp unit, do you know what foot-pounds of torque is?
More or less, yeah.
If you're turning a screw with a wrench that's a foot long, if you're pulling or pushing 100 pounds on a foot long handle, that's 100 foot-pounds of
Right.
torque. Okay, 100 foot-pounds of torque on the screw that we have will generate 10,000 pounds of clamp.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so we have a 4-inch square, 1-inch thick rubber pad that's in a special cup, and there's one on the other side. And they come together, and you clamp a monument, and then you do 2 on the other side and clamp it, and you lift it out of the ground. So if you go to Tombstone Jack, number 5, I'll show you. See it? Or
Sure.
The clamp, and that is a. Oh, let's see here.
There we go. Oh yeah.
So that's the screw. So that monument weighs, I don't know, 2,000 pounds.
Oh yeah.
We just clamp it and lift it out of the ground. So this is a pretty old video. It's a more polished product, but that's basically what it is and how it works.
Reminds me of what we call the farmer jacks. You know, the farmer's jack, the big 4 foot tall thing.
Yeah.
I got one because I got the Son of a Villager, which is this, 40 loaves of bread at a time. It comes on a trailer. It's that big of a solar cooker. Oh yeah.
So this one is using lift feet.
One of them's a common, one of them's a mythic.
Oh right.
So you can lift a 12,000 pound monument off the ground. That one there weighs 70, 76 or 7,800 pounds.
With just the 4 corners.
You just put a lift foot under each corner,
Yeah.
tie them together with a ratchet strap, and then lift it right out of the ground.
Wow.
It
Well,
takes a lot to develop a product into something that really does something.
Yeah.
I love to learn, and that's one of the reasons why I want to visit.
yeah. Well, appreciate it.
Very fun to talk with you.
Same here. So
I'm going to give you that card because
Sure.
you deserve it.
Thank
I
you.
only have a few of those left, but
Oh yeah. Thank you. Well, wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you. All right.